Looking good.
There it is, folks. Almost. It's not quite the real version. But anyway, that is the book. So the book has been released on a soft launch, what we call a soft launch, fully launched and released on Sunday, where we are going to be sharing a big celebration because the Being Fine book is now ready and it's published. So a very big welcome from me, Jo Baldwin Trott. I'm the editor and the person who decided about 7 months ago that this F word is driving me mad. In fact, actually it's dangerous. The fine word is dangerous. And it's been quite a journey, but I'm really thrilled to talk about that tonight because I haven't shared with these guys yet, but I want these guys to talk about the journey of actually admitting that they want to write in this book, because I know definitely for both of you, it's been quite a journey. Authors Kapil, Gupta and Simon, just Simon tonight. He's just Simon. He's like, you know, someone famous. He's like Rihanna, just needs a first name. Welcome, you guys.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Thanks for joining me. I'm super excited. I'm a little bit tired and a little bit highly strung, I think, because I've been working so much. I was up at 6 working on the book this morning and PR and stuff. But really excited to go live tonight and share the penultimate message before the full launch on Sunday. So we will be having an incredible book launch on Sunday. The tickets are available at Eventbrite. They're tickets, but you don't have to pay for them. So we just want people to register. But it is a free event, but we are going to ask people to donate, you know, suggested £10 to the My Black Dog charity, which the book is supporting. All proceeds of the Kindle version will go, for this year, will go to My Black Dog. So please get your fingers ready on Amazon and buy the book on Sunday. Come along to the book launch first, though, which is at 6 p.m. GMT on Sunday. So welcome, you guys. How has it felt? Because you are both first-time authors. You're now published authors. Woohoo! How does it feel, or is it not till you've got it in your hand? Do you think I think the physical book makes a difference when you actually go, oh yeah, that's me on the cover.
Well, if I could track down my English teacher from the 5th grade at secondary school, I would. Because in my school report, she said, Simon has hidden talents, but I'm damned if I can find them. So
I love that. That's brilliant.
Something that stayed with me all my life. But to feel like an author now is fantastic. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's quite, you know, it's an achievement at any time, but it's an achievement right now. I really think that. And also, I know I say this many times and I will continue to do so, it's an achievement because of the nature of this book. It's not an average business book. It's not just kind of a well-being book. This is a raw, honest accounts of all your lives book. And I think that needs to really take a moment to sort of give that extra value, because it has, you know, it's remarkable what you guys are sharing. How about you, Kapil? How have you felt being published at last, ready to go?
I don't think it's sunk in. I don't know if it ever will. It's good to see, you know, your name on Amazon as a published author, but I don't know what to feel. I do. What I want to actually say is that I started reading the book. I think I've 2/3 of the way into the book at the moment. And I think running up to the publication, I was feeling slightly disconnected from it. Just like everything else happening and life happening. And then, you know, last week when you just said, oh, we're going for publication, and I downloaded it and I started reading it, and it's just like, it feels so amazing to read those chapters and listen to other people's stories. And give me 1 second.
No, so this is not for you. You're okay.
Oh, cool.
It's not for you.
Yes. You never know. But yeah, when I started reading it, I reached out to Simon. I reached out to a couple of other authors who've written the chapters. just the vulnerability, like putting your heart in the book, and it's, I mean, I know I do quite a lot of, writing on blogs, etc. Even that, I know how it feels. It feels so exposing to be vulnerable when you're talking about these kind of things, and putting this kind of story in a book and opening yourself up to the world to critique it.
Mm.
It is powerful and scary. and
Yeah.
and I was realizing that as I was reading those chapters, just how amazing that is. And I do think it is quite a unique book. So well done, Jo, for putting it together.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't think there's anything like this exists, where men have come together and there's a couple of women as well, but really talked about the struggles of their emotional struggles. It's not a business book. It's not a spiritual book. It's not a wake-up book. It's really raw. Here's how I was struggling. Here's my journey. And here's how I am now. It is such a powerful book. And I think everyone who reads it hopefully will get some support from it, and hopefully get courage and are able to share their emotions with other people. So yeah, thank you. I think it just feels amazing.
Oh, well, that's really good to hear, because I think, it's I'm glad that you would, because it's been a little while. It's not, it's been a while coming, but there is so much validation on the vulnerability, which is obviously the topic of your book. But I'm just want to read out one of the reviews. So we've got a number of reviews in already, and if you're watching this and you do buy the book, please review the book, because it's the reviews that really help it get kind of the leverage and the relevance it deserves. Real, honest, vulnerable. The format is impactful. I think men sharing their stories of vulnerability. It drives the message of the book home further and helped me to make sense of the troubles I've been going through. I mean, I get quite emotional reading these. I just think that this book is it would have done if it was a third of the book or half of the book, but so many vulnerable stories. And the second one I want to read out. I found many things to love about this collection of writing. The diversity of voices was astounding, from Jamie Marlou Thomas' Aboriginal's perspective, through Kapil Gupta's broad invitation to men to congregate. The book met a different part of my inner life precisely. And that's just incredible, that you are opening up a whole conversation, a whole, like a physical part. I mean, this is your work, Kapil, right? Well, both of you. It's actually a physical part of us that we close down and ignore that's there. And you're already, I mean, we haven't really released the book officially yet, but you're already opening men up and helping them to see what is really happening in their lives. And who knows? I mean, the joy of creating a book is you get reviews like that. The sort of the incredible and slightly strange thing is that you will never know the repercussions of this message that you've created, because it could be tomorrow, it could be a month's time, it could be a year's time, when someone's life just suddenly is so different to what it was, and that's because of your words. It's just amazing. Yeah,
That was the power for me, Jo, is the change it can make, that by men showing their vulnerability. And in my story, I shared my vulnerability to a group of men on site, and that ended up to a sort of a pop-up mindfulness session in a lunch break on a building site. And this book is just a bigger version of that. It just, if we can reach out and we can change someone's, one person's life, it's amazing. And what a platform to do it.
Yeah, and you've already impacted 10 people's lives without it being launched, and that's the ones we know about. But yeah, sorry.
I just want to say I read Simon's chapter, and I have to say we've been connecting for months.
Yeah.
But reading your chapter was just like I was almost crying. Like the way you the way you wrote it, the way you opened up your heart, the way you almost had this like, being able to laugh at your own experience, and at the same time, very raw. Like I literally, when you talk about, passing by your house and continuing to this hill, like I was with you. I was with you, and when you were writing it, it's such a power. Like the way you wrote it, such a powerful chapter. So yeah, I know people who are reading that, it's going to have an impact.
Thank you. It's much appreciated. I mean, when Jo first asked me to write for the book, it was important for me. I think I wrote that chapter within 2 weeks, Jo, didn't I?
You did, really quick. Yeah.
I'd never done anything like it before, and I just wanted to get it out of my heart and onto paper. And then Jo helped me shuffle a few words around. And for me, it's all the stories are very similar in that book as well. We are all intrinsically linked, and it's just giving permission to show vulnerability. And if we can do that, it's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think so. No, Jo, please. What were you going to say?
Yeah, and it's the book could have been called that, to be honest. But it just felt like it needed to have some kind of level of perspective that people go, oh yeah, I use that word on a really, because I've worked out how it works for most men, and we are generalizing, and feel free to generalize about women. I'm really happy for you to do that. But it just felt like the word is so. It's like the thing that you see of this, or it's the thing that you hear. It's that connective point when someone says, "Oh, I'm fine," and they're not. But it is all about vulnerability, and remarkable that all the complexities of the story. I mean, I've kind of kept it quiet really about my thoughts about all the different chapters, because obviously we've had these interviews every Wednesday night, and I'm not on all of them, but it's incredible how that all these different experiences and circumstances have created this point, haven't they? When you've just had to go, and I think and as you say, Kapil, when I first read Simon's, in fact, I think I even emailed you that, said I was in bits reading it, because really it's such beautiful, simple explanation that you can imagine yourself being you, and that's the most impactful type of storytelling, isn't it? Really, when you can put yourself in there. Yeah, and obviously vulnerability was part of the topic I wanted to talk about, but I'm really happy to talk about any of the whatever we want to talk about, what you guys want to talk about. But it just felt like, and obviously what's always also happening now is that some of the authors are having this moment of, well, and I include myself in it because I've sort of disclosed something for the first time in my chapter. But actually people are going to read this. People that are involved in the story are going to read this. And that's a whole different ball game, isn't it? Have either of you had that? Where perhaps not you so much, Simon, because Emily's by your side now. But have either of you had that yet, where this disclosure, if you like, has caused people to sort of go, oh, hold on a minute, didn't know that, or God, I didn't know it was that bad, or whatever.
I think it's a funny one because in my chapter and also in my TEDx talk and in a few other places, I have talked about this. The story of like when I started to shut my feelings down, and my mother telling me, "Oh, how are you gonna live in this world if you're this sensitive?" And it's funny, every time I read that thing, or every time I say that thing, I have this thing that I haven't actually spoken to my mom about that. So it's I think that conversation I need to have with her. Because it's one of those things, like I don't say it to a lot of the time. People are like, oh, such a bad thing to happen to a boy. It's like, no, that is not the point of it. I think the point of it is that in our culture, it's just such a common thing to say to boys that don't show your sensitivity, don't show your emotions that much. So I don't think she was doing anything wrong. She was like doing the best to protect me. It's how I took it. I had to go on my own journey, and it's just interesting. I think it's a good reminder. I need to have a call with her and talk through this.
Might be a good idea. Yeah, it just might. I got rumbled last week because someone was listening, and someone told my children's father about some comments I made on radio. So there we go. That was slightly out the bag. But when you're speaking your truth, what else is there to do? I just think it's like you say, it wasn't. I mean, I think I misconstrued that when you wrote those words, Kapil, because I was naturally thinking, oh, that's so bad. It's like, oh, hold on a minute, no, that's like something that so many mums could easily say to their sons or even daughters, or parents, whichever, and in many cultures, but obviously, especially in yours. But yeah, so how about you, Simon? Is there anyone that I'm trying to think, I'm just running through your chat and I don't think there's
Yeah, I mean, my two boys, I gave a lot of thought to that, but I've always been open and shared. Once I got through my little journey of mental health, I talked to the boys and they knew what it was like. I've put the book out to a couple of friends. They got slightly freaked out by the fact, and again, I think it's their own vulnerabilities and their own stories that are playing through. Not so much shocked at me, but going, oh, hold on, I kind of get that. So it's very interesting. And another one of our authors, said he's feeling a bit vulnerable at the moment with the book coming out, and I totally get that. It's our hearts are on the line for everyone. But yeah. So no, it's just my two boys, and I say my two boys. They're grown men.
Yeah, because we're pitching them about this big.
yes, 30 years old and 28 years old, and yeah, and hey, I've got two grandchildren now. I've got two beautiful boys, sons, and life is really good. So there is always hope. There is always hope.
Well, and you guys have broken the cycle.
Yeah,
and that's so important. That's probably possibly the most valuable part of this, that you'll never really ever see or hear of the impact. But you've broken that cycle of repeating a certain mindset, a certain kind of practice, and that's that's one of the most powerful things you can do, isn't it, as a parent or just as a human being, to try and intervene.
And to normalise being able to talk about suicide and depression, and Kapil's call for men to show sensitivity at the end of his chapter. I thought, fantastic! What a beautiful call to put out there. Come on, guys, this. And that word sensitivity as well means so many things, doesn't it? It's not a weakness. It's not a weeping man. It's a strength. It's a warrior strength that we all have or should have. So yeah.
And it's part of the picture, isn't it? Have you read Laurel Ron's chapter yet?
I haven't gotten as far as that, no.
So all that you just said, Laurel Ron has beautifully. She's a natural storyteller. She's written many books.
Right.
She writes novels, and she has used Greek mythology to explain exactly that it's such an important part of who a man is. And it's all the quests and the kind of the pursuance of this, that, and the other that keeps you going forward. But it has to be in line, and I know this is very much at the core of your work, Phil. But it has to be very aligned with the tuning into all the other parts of you that are present and not ignoring them. I did chuckle though today, because I'm just going to show you on screen, because this book has just come out and it's got a few more reviews than us. But can you see that? Okay.
Dear.
Hysterical. So Sherry Argov fair play, successful book, #1 in psychology and psychiatry. She's written this book about how women have to behave really badly and be really selfish and cut off. Is a terrible review of the book. I don't mean that. A part of it is how women shouldn't be so nice, let's put it that way, to attract the right men. No, the men need to read our book, don't they? And then the women just be themselves. Wow. So Sherry, come on, get on the call with us. We'll help you out. But that epitomizes it for me. That epitomizes that, is that what it's come to? Women have got to behave like bitches. Wow. That just makes me feel really odd and horrid. Oh gosh. I don't know, just throw that one in, Kapil. What would you, with no knowledge of the book, obviously, but just the kind of energy that I've just put to it?
Well, I think it's an interesting one. I'm on this new app I've been talking about, Clubhouse. And it's in a beautiful, beautiful place for conversations. And I've been in rooms, people talking about relationships, about man-woman dynamics. Yesterday, I was in a room where there were a few men who created a room where they were like, "Oh, women ask us any questions." But I think a lot of 99% of people are approaching relationships as an acquisition thing,
Yeah.
And with that comes all baggage that we bring with us. If we haven't done the work to understand, what my conditioning is, what my partner's conditioning is. So when we get into a relationship, it's always our conditioning gets into a relationship, and part of that is the thing that attracts us is some of the bad behaviors, because it's an emotionally, most of us don't realize how attached we are to the drama of life. And when there is drama, even though we think it's not a good thing, we are naturally attracted to it. And I think so in that way, I understand why that title would do well, because it's kind of like a populist title, right? And it appeals to a particular kind of person. I do think, though, we're in a time where things are changing. People are waking up. People are having more conversations like this. And I don't know if it is a result of, I think Mark talked about in his chapter that 4 out of 5 suicides are men. More people are generally waking up to it. Women have been on the path of spirituality and empowerment for quite a while, and men haven't. And now men are waking up all confused, like, what's happening? Where am I? I don't know how to relate to these women. I don't know how to relate to other men. So I think so there's more of that happening, and I think so. I'm quite happy where our book is and the timing of the book, really.
Yeah, and it's an important time for people to be just really honest and actually to stop the game playing, because what you're talking about is game playing, isn't it? You're talking about taking expectations into a relationship, having a game plan, playing a game, and that's just not sincere, and it doesn't come from a place of love, does it? It comes from a place of mindset and psychology, and that just starts everything off on a, like you say, I don't know, it's just an acquisition, isn't it? It's an achievement, and that's not what a relationship should be, is it? I mean,
No.
I don't think people know any better. I didn't know any better until a few years ago, so yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how to how to really speak to that piece, because not everyone is open to personal growth work or self-awareness work. It's not a normalized thing. I think quite often I feel that I'm surrounded by people like that, so I just think that it's normal.
Yeah.
But I don't think it is. My Facebook feed is all the people that I know who are in this sphere. and I connect with people like that. But I go out of my bubble and I realize, oh wow, like people are talking in a different language. So there is definitely a bridge there that's needed.
Yeah.
It's that ripple effect that we can, that cause and effect with showing our vulnerability, and it certainly works in relationships, I think. I mean, looking back at the relationships I've had in the past, and I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for that growth, and you had that very typical sort of grabbing at relationship, and this is my identity. Without a man in his 30s in a relationship, who is he? He's a failure. But now in relationship, that vulnerability and sharing, that communication through that inner work that Kapil was talking about are absolutely key. And I can't ever imagine being in a relationship where it's any different than that now. I really can't.
So it's starting off being who you completely are, not just a part of you, isn't it? It's from the outset, you're just being who you are. Warts and all, vulnerability on show. And I think that's a really important message, actually, that we've not really ever dipped into before. But I think that's a very powerful statement. That I think that really makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah, sure. So before we finish, oh sorry, go on.
I want to add one small thing. I think vulnerability has a superpower, and that superpower is that it bypasses our rational mind. In that, vulnerability doesn't need to convince a rational mind, and I think that's why I love this book and the vulnerability inside. That when someone reads it, the authentic expression and the vulnerability will speak to their core. They don't, and when that happens, the rational mind just like it can't even fathom what's happened, and it speaks to the core, and that's the power of vulnerability. And I think, yeah, anyone who reads this book, I'm pretty certain they'll be moved. And even though they might not understand what just happened, because logical mind tries to, make sense of everything, I can almost guarantee that their core will be shook. And if that happens, even a little bit, I think we would have done our job.
Yeah, and it's for men and women. I've always felt that this is a message for everyone, and it's a message for anyone who, just recognizes that there's something not quite right, and we need to change how we work and how we communicate. But I hope as many women read this book as men, because I've learned so much myself, not only from trying to herd you lot of cats. No, I'm kidding. But it's so fascinating because I'm normally working with women. My last book was full of women, so it's been really fascinating, this journey. But I think there's
I
so
want
much.
to hear about your experience of working with women versus working with men. Honest, truthful experience on air, Jo.
I'm really happy to, but we're timers out.
No.
It's so fascinating. I was only chatting to another author about this the other day. It's like, goodness me. So women leading had 18 authors, 4 men, but by and large it was the women that. And fascinating. Honestly, I could write a book about it, Kapil. So pretty much 14 women were so fully in the book from minute one. They were like, yes, let's connect. Yes, let's talk. Yes, let's share. And some of them have gone on to become amazing friends, just remarkable. And they absorbed everything that I kind of fired at them, and they took it all on board. And you guys, take about a fifth of what I've mentioned, and now I'm having to go repeat. And the way you message, the way you absorb messages is so different to women. So you just need little nuggets, tiny little nuggets, one thing at a time. And I'm not saying anything that nobody doesn't know, but when you've worked with 12, 13 male authors for 6 months, goodness me. And I think I know how to do it now that the book's done. But You have got a few more grey hairs. Through the process.
We've been found out.
Here's one more question. Do you think men were more in their feminine in your experience, or women, in terms of, this is edgy, but in terms of organization?
Do I think men were in that more of their feminine energy?
Yeah.
When it comes to being organized?
Mm-hmm.
Are men in their feminine energy when it comes to organized? Goodness me, I've got to get my head around that one.
As in, was it more chaotic with men, or was it more chaotic with women authors?
Well, there isn't. It's neither. So it's chaos in a different way. So there's different challenges, because I can feel how, you know, you guys have certain elements of creating a book, a co-author book, have been a challenge, and I'm generalizing, for some of you. Whereas that can also happen for women. So it's very different. And honestly, it would be fascinating to really work this out, because there's an absolute sweet spot of like complete nugget of information in this, and I haven't quite got to the nub of it. But it just says so much about how the difference between men and women work. It literally has been incredible. Well, so next week, Mark Pitcher has kindly asked to interview me about the book and my experience. So maybe I'll disclose a bit more next week.
Yes.
Maybe there's another book on the horizon.
Maybe. Well, there is. That one's about immunity, funnily enough, because that just seems the way the world is working and the people that are coming towards me right now. But yeah. So it's been a fascinating journey. But as always, I always finish off by saying I'm incredibly grateful to you guys. Just really quickly, out of the chapters you've read, what really jumps out? What nugget from someone else's chapter would you say was just incredible? Obviously, you've mentioned Simon's, Kapil, but what else? What other little nuggets would you say just remarkable from the book?
For me, I think different journeys, and yet the similarity. You know, we have different lives, different upbringings, different. On the face of it, you look at the story and it's like, oh, very different circumstances. However, I think what jumps out is how similar the issues were, and similarity between not being able to express, not being able to share what emotions were going through when the difficulty was happening in life. And I think that really jumps out, the simplicity of it, you know. Yeah, that's for me.
Yeah, because you were brought up on the foothills of the Himalayas. Jamie Marlou Thomas is an Aboriginal, so from the east coast of Australia, brought in a completely true Aboriginal way. Simon, you're from, where are you from originally?
I'm born and bred in Newbury, but majority of my life in the West Country.
Yep. So, you know, completely different locations.
Yeah.
And yet, so we draw a lot of reference to culture, don't we, and upbringing, and you know, countries, and we geographically pinpoint. You know, it's part of what it's like to grow up there. However, I think that actually is a really relevant point. What about you, Simon? Is there, just to finish off
with the honesty, how people became honest with themselves, honest with the people around them, before they started that journey to recovery. And yeah, being honest with yourself is the first step, I think, which showed up for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'd like to ask you all to come back sort of 6 months' time and see what's happening for you then, because I have a feeling a lot of you are going to be on one hell of a journey now. And I will be enjoying watching from the sidelines. But, you know, a remarkable journey, because you have been incredibly brave to share your stories, and I'm very grateful. And I'm sure every single person who reads the words will be too. So Kapil Gupta and Simon author, I was going to say. So Kapil Gupta and Simon. Oh, thank you so much for coming on tonight. Great to see you.
Thanks, Joe.
I will see you guys and anyone else who's watching, listening at the book launch, 6 p.m. this Sunday, the 31st of January. The tickets are on Eventbrite, all through the Facebook page. So come into the Facebook group, Being Fine Book, join us there for the conversations, and we will see you at the book launch on Sunday at 6 p.m. I may have a glass of wine. In fact, I may have even two. I think we've discussed it, guys. See you then. Goodbye for now. Thanks for watching. Bye.